Welcome back to the It Bees Like That podcast. As always, I'm your host Chris. I always have like a pretty long list of topics and ideas and thoughts that I would like to share and explore here on the podcast. And that's no different today. But today is a pretty emotional day. Suffice it to say that this experience of life for some of us, no matter the level of acceptance some may have with the statement that I'm going to make, it remains true all the same. This experience of life for some of us just inherently comes with higher stakes. Our grasp or position next to safety and liberty and determining on our own life the way that we see fit is tenuous still in 2024. And it baffles me that while this is not information. Like so much of the stuff that I talk about here is review, and it's 2024. We recognize that I'm not hitting you with maybe some new insights for sure. And my delivery and thought process may be different than other people's, but essentially what I'm delivering here are just thoughts on basic humanity, dignity, and human rights. Regardless of social training, where you're from, what you look like, how you sound, we all have the same basic fundamental human right to exist. And that overall is my message. One of my messages. It has to be, right? To that point, give me 1 second. I've got to find something here. And related to another point, I had an experience last night with a powerful group of people. It reminded me of a few things. It reminded me of my limitations and let me back up. So I wholeheartedly believe that I'm called to do this work that I do on every level, whether it be in services, whether it be delivering messages here on this podcast about equality and recovery and spirituality. I feel compelled by a source of energy more powerful than myself, than I can even imagine with my finite brain, to do this work. However, last night I had the honor and blessing to be in a space with people so powerful and like me. It was one of the most beautiful things I've experienced for a while, and probably hasn't happened for me in about a year, and I'm usually the person who organizes spaces like this. Not having to be that person, being able to just be and occupy space with people who look like me, share my experiences, and exist in a power and self-awareness that I can't even describe here. It was beautiful. But as I say, it reminded me of a few things. One, of my limitations. So as I was struck by an experience, and I knew right away what this feeling was and where it had come from. In my daily life, and not like I'm telling y'all, I'm fine with this. I'm okay with it. But hypervigilance is real. Being fortified in every space outside of your home, as militant and activist spirits exist. I will tell you that a large percentage of my community, the Black community, we have a literal belief that we stand on the shoulders of giants, meaning of our ancestors, and we also believe that their energy channels through us. So our heroes that aren't here anymore, we're talking about, I'll give some examples of ones that may be more commonly known to some of you, like Marcus Garvey, Medgar Evers, Huey P. Newton, Tupac, Nipsey Hussle, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, just to name a few. This energy lives in us, and we believe that we can channel this energy. And I believe that in my heart that this is true, and I also believe that energy sustains people like me for indeterminate amounts of time. And then when I experience spaces like I did last night, where I didn't have to be as fortified, I didn't have to don my shield and spear and club and be ready, which I'm telling you, I don't mind. The sense of relief that I got, the being able to drop of these things, the setting down of these things was incredibly relieving and refreshing. And having that space held without the reflexive nature of people who aren't us and who don't understand, who would just, by their natural disposition, want to, like I say, reflexively resist anything that is discussed or experiences that are verbalized in spaces like this. It was beautiful. And only hours later, I was reminded again of how rare those spaces are for us. I was reminded again of, the delicate nature of life. And especially for some of us who are living it for higher stakes. They're not almost. There is a resistance in certain places and by certain people to sharing power and space and information with Black bodies, Black able minds and bodies. And this is hard, man. This is hard, man. And I want y'all listening to please pay attention to the larger message. Like, I'm just talking about fucking getting out of the way of progress, getting out of the way of humanity, and being open to an invitation, to being called forward into accountability, and examining and acknowledging privilege, ego, and the misuse and abuse of this shit in a meaningful way, right? I know that an experience that so many of us can relate to is feeling that frustration of, man, being not being heard, knowing in your heart, having a conviction so strong in your heart that knowing that this isn't something that is attached more to emotion and experience than it is to right and justness and morality, right? Like, and just fucking decency, man. Human fucking decency, man. So this is what I had. Like, I am. I'm a little beside myself today, but this is what I have for anyone who cares to pay attention. Anyone who, again, finds value in the message of humanity and good from any source. This is for anyone who has even the remote idea about hope and self-determination and the ability to exercise agency by anyone and everyone to determine life, love, success, and happiness for themselves how they see fit, so long as we're not doing it at the expense of others. That is it. That is it. This is what I have for you. And I'm going to repeat something I said a minute ago. I have an invitation for you. And this is, please take this in the spirit in which it's intended. I have an invitation for you to be invited in and be called forward into a meaningful acknowledgement and examination of whatever applies: position, power, privilege, ego, anything. And how to appropriately use these things in the imminent danger and harm that can come to so many people when misused and abused. And I would also take it further and say that if you really fancy yourself as a person who believes in progress, be more bold. Don't be chicken shit. Be more bold in your associations with right and centering strong voices that don't include your own. Accept leadership in some situations and accept being the guided in others. Because this is the nature of being a human being. We all lead and we all follow at different points in our lives. That's how we progress together. None of this curation of space and information and the direct and intentional management of the movement and occupation of space for other human bodies in real time. This is crazy. Y'all got... When I say that I feel called, like that might sound woohoo to some of y'all, but I honestly do. I feel called to deliver the messages that I do. So I'm going to continue to do it until I can't anymore, or until God places it on my heart to stop or report a different message. This is what I'm going to do. Because I spent a majority of my adult life giving my community and my family and the people around me who love me and support me the worst of who I am and the worst that I have to offer. Did trauma inform some of those decisions and behaviors? Sure. You know what I mean? But I had to at some point decide. And that's the power of choice and agency and willingness in our lives. But now I fully lean into giving all of those places and people mentioned before the best version of me. Now, this, when I say the best version of me, I don't mean the best version of me that you have in mind. I mean the best version of me, the most self-aware, the most confident, the most empowered version that my higher power has in mind and means to build and develop. That's the version I mean. Where we can meet on that, I don't know, different points, different places. But it is possible. And I think, I know that it is in the capacity of anyone, were they to so choose, to, no matter how compelling and strong the pull of their ego and level of comfort in their position and ability to excuse and justify the obvious, blatant, and open propping up of the status quo. I think we can still come together. I really do. It's going to take a lot of work. I think we can still come together. It takes a lot of healing. It takes a lot of hard conversations, and it takes a level of acceptance by people who are not used to being challenged. Learning to start to be okay with being challenged, because I'll let you in on a little secret. Shit's changing. The world's changing around you. And if you don't get on, get out the way. Because the train of progress is going to come regardless of whether or not you choose to jump on or not. Straight up. So, you can be a holdout. You know what I mean? And I think that in this circumstance, sometimes maybe that ego you got might help you a little bit. Because it might prevent you from being so stubborn as you do in other areas of life, to prevent you from jumping on the train. Because, hey, exposure helps too, right? Like, if being exposed to these ideas and this level of humanity and decency, some of it's bound to rub off on you in a genuine way. Not in a polished, rehearsed, and continually affirmed way. I think it does all of us a lot of good to be challenged. Really, really challenged. If you didn't do it on the way in, think about doing it on the way out. Hit that like, subscribe, and post notification bell. Peace, y'all.